Hey guys, thanks for joining. We're just going to wait for a few more people to come online at 10 o'clock and then we'll kick off the webinar. Thanks.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I'm your host Courtney Scales and joining us is the wonderful Matt McGowan.
Hi everybody.
So thank you again for joining us today as we explore the Arrears automation workflow within Console Cloud. On the screen here, you've got a couple of dot points on some key takeaways that we'd like to make sure that you're walking away with. So number one is how you can reduce your arrears by up to 50% with Console Cloud's Arrears automation workflow. We'll also dive into what true blue or true automation looks like and explore a demo of Console Cloud and really walk through how to set up the automation within Console, how you can be reporting on it, and a few little extra bits and pieces along the way. So let's get started. Before we dive into the demo, I just wanted to give a little bit of a preamble on, who we are as we are part of the Reaper group. So Console Cloud, Agent Box, Agent Point, and Proposal Point have all joined together within the last year to really create that one-stop shop for agencies looking to create beautiful experiences through digital solutions. And I guess a part of what makes, Reapit and all of us joining together so great, particularly for the Australian and New Zealand market, is, we are an established supplier. So given that we are a global company, we're able to look at, global trends that are happening in the UK, Denmark, all around the world, for example, and bring that in so that the Australian and New Zealand market are getting, the latest access to what's happening all around the world. Being a part of a bigger company as well means continued investment in the product. So it's really important for us, and a key ethos here for the Console Cloud crew is that continuous investment in the product and the roadmap that we have that we're constantly delivering on. So if you're a Console Cloud customer joining, you'll know that Console is always upgrading, always bringing in new features, and that's something that we're striving to continue with as we move on.
If you're not a new customer, we recommend you, or not a customer yet, we suggest you jump onto our quarterly product showcase webinars.
Yes, we've got some exciting things to show. As I just mentioned, we've got a broad suite of products across, digital marketing solutions, proposals, CRM, and property management software solutions that can help your agency. And as a part of that, there is a bigger marketplace with key partners for integration and relationships with. So specifically what sets Console Cloud apart, I'll just touch on 3 key aspects here as there's a big long list to go through, but what sets us apart from other common suppliers in the marketplace is number 1, as I mentioned, just that roadmap and the future vision. We are constantly investing in the product to create new and innovative solutions for property managers to make sure that you are staying in touch with the common trends and meeting the customers' demands, which often are getting more and more digitally focused. Speaking of digital solutions, it would be remiss of me if I didn't call out our workflows with the automation built into them. So that's a really key piece to Console Cloud that differentiates us from, I guess, the rest of the pack is our workflows. We're not just digitizing tasks and checklists. We're really taking the processes that are common within most of the agencies across Australia and New Zealand, putting that into Console Cloud, and effectively Console's like your virtual assistant. It will take care of those repetitive tasks for you so that you can be focusing on more meaningful relationships with your tenants and your owners. And then finally, I did just want to touch on the business intelligence reporting. So recently Console just released Analytics Plus, which we'll touch on as we dive into the demo, which is really a market leading business intelligence tool for property management. And it gives you, oh gosh, how do I even go through this? There's so much to it. Matt?
Yeah, you can drill down,
Yeah.
you can forecast, you can get key insights, you can filter, you can basically like take different parts of your business and slice and dice it how you want to see it, and then either export it or visualize it on screen. And we'll be going through some of the really great reports we've got for business owners, property management leaders, property managers, and also specifically today, because we're talking about arrears, like how you can actually benchmark yourself against other businesses within the Console Cloud ecosystem, just so you know how you're performing.
There's also AI built into the reports as well, so you can be looking at predictive trends to understand, where you're currently at and what your future performance can look to as well. So, as I mentioned, there's just so much to it to get through. So we'll dive into a little piece of that in the demo today.
This is the headline, isn't it, Court?
This is really the headline. So we took a case study of an aggregate of our Console Cloud customers using the automation within the Arrears workflow. And we found that over a 6-month period of you turning it on, there was a 50% reduction in arrears across the board. When we pulled up these figures, we had to double check them to make sure that they were real, because the results are just so drastic. And, we'll dive into exactly how you can set it up as we flow through the demo. So just to kind of touch on, again, what makes us different from other suppliers in the market is we've got 2 examples up here on screen. So the first example is, a common sort of workflow or task management in another software. And on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see Console Cloud. As I mentioned, the key difference really is that automated task reminder within an old system gets transformed into a customized and automated journey within Console Cloud. We're not just taking your paper checklists and putting them into a system for you to then go and do the thing. Console Cloud does the thing for you, essentially. And the key part to that that ties in really closely is the consistency and the transparency within Console Cloud. So if someone's away sick, or you've got a tenant calling up through reception, anyone in your office can go and look up that record and see the most up-to-date communications within the timeline of Console Cloud. Also, with the automation in there, you're able to ensure that there's a consistent message for all of your clients across the board, so that you're not creating different customer service experiences throughout your agency. Which is definitely something that, as you grow and expand, the processes become more personalized to each individual within your office. But Console Cloud really helps you to keep it on rails, so to speak.
Yeah, thanks, Court. I think we'll dive right in. I'm just going to move a couple of these menus around. So most of you online are actually not yet Console Cloud customers. We've got a few who are Console Cloud customers. So we'll just do a quick navigation around the system. Again, specifically, we're talking about Arrears today. So this is our dashboard. And you can see my widgets up here. I've got my residential arrears, and I've also got my commercial arrears. And within each of these property types, I have my subsets. So I've got my rental arrears and my invoice arrears. And then I've got a little age debtor, I guess, list. So I can see the number of people in arrears 1 to 3 days, 4 to 7, greater than 8 days on my rental arrears side. And we've got a different scale for invoice arrears. I can see those. And if I click on this list, for example, it'll take me straight into the arrears workflow, which we'll get to in a minute, with those filters turned on. And again, I've got the same on my commercial arrears side if you're managing both residential and commercial arrears. So we handle both property types, and we've got 2 separate widgets for them. So that's on the dashboard, specifically related to arrears. The other way to access the arrears workflow is through our residential property list or commercial property list. I'm just going to load up my residential property list, because as Court's mentioned, one of the real strengths and differences of Console is the way that we manage workflows. And, workflows for us is not just a task reminder or a task. It's an end-to-end process relating to arrears, applications, advertising, compliance, inspections, maintenance. We can automate lease renewals. We have a vacate workflow. So that whole spectrum, these little widgets up here are actually filters. And you can manage them. You can change the order of these filters to something that makes sense for you as a property manager. But I'm just going to click on this filter, which is my arrears workflow. And this is the same pattern that we follow on almost all of our workflows. There's a couple of different areas. There's my filters. So I can filter by my portfolio. If I'm the head of PM, I can see all portfolios, which I'll do in this instance. I have these little dashlets or widgets that are actually filters. So again, as you move to the right in this rental area, these are my ones that I really want to target. They're my exceptions. Generally, if you've got automated arrears on, you're going to be having most of your tenants down in this category, and the system will be taking care of them. I've also got widgets for my invoices. So I'm going to click on this filter, and it should go to 0 because I've got no tenants with rental arrears in 4 to 7. And I'll just click back in here to the tenants that I have 1 to 3 days. That's just to show you how these little widgets work. So it brings up my list, and you can see I've actually got automation on. So before we get into the automation, I just want to take you into one of these workflow records so you can just get a feel for how they work. So a quick glance, I know the property, I know the tenant, I know the rental amount in arrears, I know the invoice amount in arrears if they've got arrears in both instances. I've got my detail, the last thing that happened. And if I just click on this record, I bring up more information about the arrears event. So I can see the paid to date. I can see the number of invoices in arrears. I can see the invoices, the individual invoices as well. I can see that I've got auto reminders on. So when you turn automation on, automation will come on for all of the properties automatically, but then you can go and turn auto reminders off at a property level. If you know that tenant is typically a day or 2 behind and you don't want to send them automated reminders, you can actually flick that off, and that'll actually be turned off for that specific property, that specific tenant. I'm just going to go to my timeline, and this gives me the history, my whole history of all the communications around these arrears events. So I can see that someone from the office has added a note. They spoke to the tenant and advised the payment would be received tomorrow, which is really useful. If they call back again because they haven't paid and we've sent them a reminder, I can see the emails that have been sent to them. I can view that email. I can see all the invoices were attached, which is really handy. Let's move that over there. All the SMS and all the emails. If I've got read receipts on, it'll actually tell me that it's been delivered and read. which is useful. And you've got that whole timeline of events. I'll just go back to the overview screen again. I can also, as well as having my automation running, I can also send additional messages if I want. So I can use our templating engine, which I'll show you shortly. If they're greater than 7 days in arrears, we can also, through our REI integration, send the appropriate form. So we're in Queensland. We've got 2 forms mapped to the arrears workflow, which is the notice to remedy breach and the notice to leave. And this works around every state in Australia through the REI forms integration. We've mapped the right form to your arrears events so that you can create that, that form on the fly. I'm just going to quickly do one just to show you how it appears on the timeline. But again, generally, if you've got arrears automation, a lot of your tenants won't get to this, this stage, but you can see it's just filled in all the details relevant to the notice to leave in Queensland. And again, it works in New South Wales, Victoria, WA, South Australia, all mapped to the REI forms or Vic forms in Victoria. Now, I've added that form and it's appeared on my timeline. So again, we've got a nice record of everything that's happening relating to this arrears event. So it's really, really useful, but we're here to talk about automation and arrears, and I'm going to just take you into the control center for your arrears automation. At the top here, you can see I've got my rental arrears and my invoice arrears. So I can actually have 2 different trains running, one for rental arrears, which is obviously highly important, and my invoice arrears, I might have a slightly different approach to how I'm trying to collect that. You can see the toggle is on, so you can turn that off. Again, we highly recommend you turn it on because the results speak for themselves. Yeah. Collecting rent is one of our key value propositions as property managers to our owners, and getting that money in on time for disbursement to our owners is just something that it's the base level service that we're providing. Once I've got that on, I can go in here and I can click edit preferences. And again, we're giving you more flexibility on how you manage your arrears. So basic thing, you don't want to be sending your arrears notices before you've done your receipting in the morning. So this is a setting, and you might just say you don't want to send arrears notices until the PMs, so till 1 PM. So you know that you've got time, that you're giving your trust account time to do all the receipting in the morning, and the notices that you're going to be sending are up to date. Now, this first option is sending a daily SMS at the same time every day. I've got a bit of flexibility on when I want to start that arrears notice. I might want to start after 2 days, and I might want to stop after 7. And this is a highly effective way of actually bringing your arrears down. But it's only one way. I'm just going to show you the template. So again, you have full control over the templates that are used. So this is what the template says, but if you come into the Console Cloud template engine, you can actually see all your arrears related communications and you can edit them. So this one here, for example, is an SMS. I can come in here, I can edit what that message says. If I click in here, I've got all of my merge fields that are relevant to an arrears event. And you can update this communication just to make sure you're sending the same message or the message that you want to send at the right time to your tenants. Let's go back into the workflow. So that's one option. That's our daily SMS reminder. The alternative option is you can actually go and have an escalating series of communications and a combination of SMS and email. Yeah. So it's really, really easy. You can see we've got one running here. Day 1, there's an SMS. I've selected a template. And this is an escalating series. So in my first few days, I'm sending 2 SMS. On the 4th day, I'm sending an email. On the 5th day, I might actually want to send an SMS. And I can just build this up over time. And this will just run in accordance with the schedule that you've set up. So it's really, really effective. It's set and forget. Even though you'll always be able to track. I'll just take that filter off and I'll bring up all of my arrears. You'll always be able to see all of your tenancies and properties in arrears. You mightn't bother really doing too much up until 7 days, until they kind of fall into this 8-day category where, you know, a more heavy-handed approach might need to be taken. And the beauty of this is you can also have a separate arrears event or a separate arrears series running for your invoice arrears. And it's the same pattern. You can either have an SMS running every day, or you can have an escalating series of SMS and email.
Yeah, just as well to mention, when you are setting up your automation within Console Cloud, the helpful thing about when you are building it is the templates that are pulled into the workflow are all contextual to arrears. So as Matt's showing on screen here, this is the big long list of all of your templates in the settings area of Console. I don't want to see all of them being pulled in, and I don't want to accidentally send out, you know, an inspection template in the arrears workflow. That wouldn't go well. So the great thing about all of our workflows within Console Cloud, when you are setting up those communications, is that they're contextual to the workflow that you're actually in.
Yeah, that's right. And we've taken the same approach with forms as well. So the idea is if you're working through this, you don't have to think about it. Like arrears should be taking care of those transactional messages. You come in here, you need to create a form because you need to keep this event moving. You know, you can create the form, it's listed on the timeline. And, you know, there's a full history of all of those events. Yeah. I will say just on one thing, just an additional little benefit of the invoice arrears messaging. You know, you can see they've got all of these invoices. I can go in and open those invoices up if I need to see them. Let's go back to my arrears. I might just want to send a communication and attach all of those arrears events. And, you know, again, this is just something in addition to automation. Just, what did I want to do? I want to send a message, invoice arrears reminder. Yeah. So I can just send this, you know, a quick email with the click of a button and it'll attach all those invoices. So this is just something, again, in addition to automation. Yeah. So key points, you have control of your templates. Forms and communications are smart. They're linked to the workflow and relevant to the workflow. There's a timeline of everything around that around that arrears event.
You can turn everything on and off, either globally or at a tenant level specifically.
Correct. And you've got these little widgets just to help you kind of draw your eye to where you should be focusing on. And again, like, you know, someone out here in the 8+ days with 229 arrears events is not an ideal situation.
No. Matt, if you wouldn't mind just popping back into the automation settings quickly and just hitting that edit preferences. I just wanted to call the attention again to that time of day setting that we've got here as well. So if you're not using our payment solution Console Pay, this is really when that time of day reminder timeline comes in handy. However, if you are using our payment solution Console Pay, you don't need to worry about what time of day you are sending out reminders if tenants do fall into arrears, if they are using the payments platform, because the payments are automatically matched within Console Cloud and you don't need to be uploading any files.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Court.
No worries.
So that's the arrears automation. Now, just to touch on just arrears management in general, we've got a couple of really nice little reports to run through. So Court mentioned our Analytics Plus platform, and I've got three dashboards that I just wanted to take you through. And this is outside of just the workflow, but just really quickly, you can kind of see this is a business level. So if I'm a principal, this is kind of my, I guess, the dashboard that I'm going to be viewing, because it's got everything on here. It's got my gained and lost. It's got my arrears. It's giving me a really good, my average weekly rent, maintenance requests, my average commissions. It's giving me just that quick little overview of my business. And specifically around arrears, I can come in here and I can actually filter by portfolio. If I see, you know, like this Bob's portfolio seems to have most of my tenants in arrears, I can actually just click on Bob's portfolio and it'll actually update all of the widgets. So I can actually get a good view of that whole portfolio and all of those tenants in arrears.
And have a conversation with Bob.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. Again, this is a principal level dashboard. It's the full, the full, I guess, overview of the whole business.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly clear that selection because I'm just going to touch on a couple of other things that are useful. Obviously, it's crunching a lot of data. I've got multiple offices and a lot of properties in this particular portfolio. So that's just running in the background. I'm just going to click on the deep analysis just to, again, it just gives me that really quick overview as a principal. It'll just summarize all these statistics, looking over all my offices, all my portfolios, all of my arrears events. And just another great little tool to help me quickly understand what's happening in this particular area of my business. So I can just see, number of portfolios, who's in arrears, just generally the most common value. So not just, hey, there's, 55 people who have 55 tenants in my 1 to 3 days. I can see that, generally like I've usually got 48 in this category. Most of our customers would see most of their numbers down in this column because they've got arrears automation on, and you should see it tail off as those numbers get higher. So just a clever little widget. At a head of PM level, I've got kind of my PM dashboard, and it has just a little bit more detail. So as well as the number of arrears, I've actually got the value of the arrears. So I can see my total amount in arrears. And again, I guess we could pick on Bob, but we might just pick on Curtis. He's got $2 million in arrears, and I can actually just filter that down and, start diving into that information a little bit further. And it'll update all of my other widgets relating to Curtis's portfolio. Now, the really cool thing, or what we think is highly valuable to our customers, is the ability to benchmark yourself against other agencies. I think we all generally think we're doing arrears really, really well, but you can actually use this report to see how you're tracking. So, out of the more than 2,500 agencies using cloud, my current ranking, our agency's current ranking is 2,618. So we are down the bottom. We haven't been that great over the duration. We've kind of been still in the bottom quartile, and we've never really got out of it. Like our highest rank is 2,400. So, like basically in the bottom 2%, which is not where I want to be. And I can also see over time, those kind of percentage ranking changes, like of how I perform. You can see I've been getting progressively worse. And I think it's just, it's a conversation piece to go, are we taking the right approaches with our tenant selection? Do we have our arrears management turned on? Are we actioning this appropriately? Obviously, not every agency can be in the top 10%. That's why it's a benchmark. But it does just give you an idea on kind of where you sit comparative to other businesses on the platform. Yeah. So the idea is it's a conversation piece.
And just, Matt, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down, if that's okay. Just when we're looking at the forecast trends as well, this is what we were talking about when we're using artificial intelligence to analyze your data at an aggregate level and really try and predict how you're going to be performing into the future, which just gives you another layer of business intelligence without having to, do all of these calculations yourself or be using a third party to try and get an understanding of how your business is performing.
That's right. And I'm just bringing up the tenant app because, tenant app is also very useful in helping to communicate with tenants and helping them understand, where they're in arrears. So if you're already using Console, you'll be familiar with the tenant app. I'm not going to go into too many capabilities. Obviously, you can log maintenance, but I can also come to my payment screen and actually just see anything that's overdue. So on this instance, I've actually got an overdue invoice. And I will show you something pretty cool because this tenant is attached to Console Pay. So they've actually got a bank account or credit card on file. They can actually just come in and click pay now and pay that particular invoice with a click of a button. So they've got a reminder. They're going, oh, yep, that's right. I'll go in and I'll click that to, I want to trigger my invoice payments, and they can trigger an invoice payment there. They can also just see their pay to date. So it's transparent. It's on their app. And, I think the transparency of the tenant, the communications coming from the system, all of these things combine to help you, manage your arrears and give your agency a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to switch back to the presentation just to wrap up.
Yes. So just to give a bit of a summary on the benefits of arrears automation, particularly within Console Cloud, is you do have the ability to control when reminders start and when they do stop. You have the ability to pause for individual tenants, which is just giving you that extra sense of control. Commonly we find when people are turning on automation for the first time, it can be quite scary. So you just have that extra layer of control to make sure that, you're not worried, which, a lot of customers can be. You do have the ability to customize the communications with templates, get control over who gets notified and who doesn't, which is that sort of pausing for individual tenants. Something that we didn't touch on, but you do have the ability to download the arrears notification timeline. So say you get to tribunal and you need to show a full history of the communication with your tenant to make sure that you've done everything right. You are able to download that as a PDF out of Console Cloud, and it does show all the SMS information as it comes through on the timeline. It is included within all subscriptions within Console Cloud. It's not something that you have to pay extra for to access the arrears automation. It is included within your subscription. It integrates with our payment solution, Console Pay, and you're able to send your forms directly from the workflow. So if you do need to send your notices to vacate, you can do it right there, right in front of you every time.
That's right. And look, it's all about trying to help you save time.
Yep.
Definitely what we're hearing from our customer base is workloads are increasing. And I think, by turning on automation, taking care of that low hanging fruit, like those, especially those people less than 7 days, just having that automatic chase up that you can rely on, it's like having an assistant in your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, thank you very much. I think we're right on time. We've had a couple of questions pop through, which we will take offline and answer. There'll be a recording that Court will organise to be sent out, in the next day or two.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to sharing the rest of our automation series with you guys over the coming months.
Absolutely. So we will be working through all of the workflows within Console Cloud, and there will be ebooks as well as webinars that we'll be presenting on each of our workflows to show exactly what's in them and how they are different. But if you would like the most latest or access to the most latest webinar that will be coming up for Console and Reap It more broadly in Australia and New Zealand, we highly recommend that you do register for the Integration Showcase webinar, which is on the 8th of March, and that will be presented by Matt as well as TJ to showcase how we're bringing all of our products together to be better together.
Great. Thanks, Court. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.